Hello everyone, Boba Time Hopper here, and welcome back to the Walking Dead Randomizer Rewrite series, here for episode 5. I loved seeing your comments on who you think who died. I always appreciate the engagement, and you will find out who is going to die soon. Hopefully when you do find out who it's going to be, you won't want me dead. Anyways, I did notice one thing that I should mention here, so many people comment, and so many people watch the series and love it, and they comment about how they love it, so,
Think fast, Chuckle Nuts!
why are you not subscribed? And don't put it off on the old fans either, new guys, I know it's you! Subscribe to me, please, I tried so hard! Anyways, now that all that's out of the way, let's get to the episode. The Walking Dead, Episode 5, Threats. The episode opens with Rick and Shane walking together, overlooking the mess of camp before Rick walks off to call Morgan, wanting to warn him away from the camp in Atlanta as a whole. Shane then sees Jim sitting by a tree, looking like he's seen a ghost. As Shane walks over to Jim, he asks him if he's going to be alright, but Jim just keeps mumbling to himself, saying it's just like the dream, creeping Shane out as he walks away. Back near the RV, Amy is still holding Andrea and crying. When Lori tries to convince her to let them take Andrea, Amy just cries harder before Leon walks over to talk to her. Antonia and Daryl are putting walkers down with a pickaxe in the butt of Antonia's rifle, and Glenn and T-Dog gather the bodies for burial while Rick and Lori walk over to Shane. Lori says that Amy has been crying all night, not moving, and Rick says they have to put Andrea down and bury her. Shane agrees but says to let Leon deal with it. Amy tells Leon about her birthdays before this and how Andrea never really got to be at one. She says that she knows Andrea beat herself up about it, but she never cared. She just loved her sister. Leon hugs her, crying with her before he asks her if he can take Andrea to be buried, and asks Amy if she wants him to be the one to do it. Amy says yes, so Leon raises his gun and puts Andrea down. After all the bodies are in the ground about to be buried, Mr. Strathmore performs the funeral rites, with each of them speaking about how Andrea and Jackie were as people, and about loss in general, with Amy breaking down while telling people a story about her and Andrea's childhood. Hey, yeah, this is the point in the video where I reveal to you who got bit, but, yeah, I don't really have much to say other than that. Please don't kill me when you see this. Roll the clip. Now we have to get the final death. And we have a lot of characters who have done a lot in this series so far, and it could be really painful no matter what. So I guess here we go. Oh my god, who's it gonna be? Oh no! Oh wow. Wow. Oh, everyone, all of you are gonna be pissed. I'm gonna be fucking murdered by Antonia. I'm gonna be murdered by Antonia. Oh god. Oh no. Oh no. Alright, now you've all seen it. Please don't crucify me. I just want to continue the series. Please, I don't want to die here. Let's go on with the episode. While Amy recollects herself, Merle goes over towards the fire, which is still burning, and he grabs a stick from the fire before jabbing himself in the side with it and yelping out in pain. Most are too distracted by the funeral to notice, but Daryl sees him and walks over to him. Daryl starts berating his brother about the bites, saying that he needs to tell the others. He could die! Merle tells Daryl to stop moaning on like a pansy before saying that he still doesn't trust them. He saved Shane because he didn't want to be indebted to that pig. Daryl says to Merle that he should tell them, so that at the very least they can try to find some way to save him. Merle says to just let him deal with it himself, as they both walk back to the funeral. After the funeral, Shane and the others gather to talk about where they should go, as things are not safe at the camp anymore. Rick suggests that they go into Atlanta to live with the Vatos, as they seem like good people that have security with their guns, but Shane says that it is not a good idea. Atlanta is overflowing with walkers, and if it's dangerous here, it's more dangerous there. Shane recommends that they go to Fort Benning, as while it is farther away, it may be safer, as it would be more well-armed if it's still standing. Rick says that traveling that far towards a place when they don't even know if it's still standing is ridiculous. Antonia, however, agrees with Shane, saying that it was still operational, at least until she left, and they were heavily armed. She then continues, saying that she thinks they are still standing. Alright everyone, we are at a pause in the video because we have to make a pretty major decision. I mean, we paused for all of these, but this is probably the biggest decision we've had in the series so far. Will the group be going out towards Fort Benning, where they may run into the military and possibly be saved there, like Antonia and Shane's plan goes? Or will they go to the friends that they know they have, but are in a more dangerous location? That being Rick's plan of joining up with the Vatos. We need to find out what the majority of the group will decide through this coin flip. Obviously, Rick is going to be going with his plan, and Shane and Antonia, whenever we add her, will be going with their plan. So now we just need to see which team wins the debate. Time to flip the coin. Heads means we go to Fort Benning, and tails means we go to the Vatos. We're going to the Vatos. That is going to be interesting. If you guys know any of the Walking Dead lore, this is going to be a very, very interesting event. Especially for the next episode. Anyways, yeah, this is going to be interesting. And it might lead to some interesting possible scenes. I like this. This is going to be pretty interesting. Let's continue the video. Most of the group are not convinced by this, however, and end up agreeing with Rick, saying that the journey would be too dangerous with no guarantee of safety at the fort. As the group sides with Rick, Shane clenches his fist in annoyance, but says, fine, they'll leave for Atlanta in a few hours, and everyone should pack their things. After the meeting ends, Shane grabs Rick and asks him if he really wants to put Lori and Carl in danger like that by staying in such a dangerous place. Rick says in response that dragging them halfway across the state when the fort may not even be standing is no better. Every military station they've seen is overrun. Why would the fort be any different? Shane questions why Rick can't just support him in this, and Rick says that if it was his family, Shane would be thinking the same way that he is. Shane is extremely pissed at this, saying that they are his family. He protected them for months while Rick was gone. Rick apologizes, saying it came out wrong, and Shane accepts it, trying to calm down as he walks off. During this, we see Amy crying over Andrea's grave as Dale comes over to talk to her, saying that he will miss her as well, before talking about his wife's death. He talks about how he felt pained and cheated because she was dying and nobody could help her. Amy then brings up that she wonders if the rest of her family is okay, before the scene switches again. We then see Daryl walking over to find Merle. Daryl sees him near their truck, pulling out some of his opiates and doing them, with Daryl saying that Merle is looking worse. Merle wipes the sweat from his brow and says that he'll be fine before he tells Daryl to hop in the truck. They're ready to go. We then see Rick talking to Morgan on the radio, saying he will leave a map and a note behind on a car for him. He then says, "See you in Atlanta," before he joins the group. Everybody gathers to leave as Shane gives instructions on how to stay in the caravan. Alright everyone, I apologize. We have yet another pause in the video, but this is where we have to decide who is going to be leaving the group. I was going to have it be any families were possible. So it could have been Rick's family, which is, Rick, Lori, and Carl. It could have been, Amy and Andrea's family, which would have been Amy, Andrea, Leon, and Dale. Daryl's family, which would be Daryl and Merle. Carol's family, which is Carol, Ed, and Sophia. And then the Morales family. But it seems unrealistic for Rick's family to leave, and Carol and Sophia would not want to go with Ed, especially in this timeline where Carol is more independent. So I am going to only roll Morales' family, Amy's family, and Daryl and Merle as a family. So we need to put them on the wheel. We're going to see who will disappear. And if you know the lore of what Morales did after he left this point in the series, you're going to be very interested, depending on what can happen here. And yes, I know you guys know Merle is bitten, but I have a little idea for a scene I'll have between them as the final scene we see of them if they leave. Alright, so we have Daryl's family. So I'll put his name. We have Morales' family. And then we have Amy's family. So here we have to spin. I'm very interested to see who it's going to pick. Morales, like in canon. Alright, boys. So Morales' family is going to leave like canon. Let's go write that scene. However, Morales says that they will not be joining them. They will be going to their family in Birmingham. Shane says to them that it's a terrible idea. They would have nobody to watch their backs on the way, but Morales says that he has to do what's best for his family. Shane and Rick look at each other before Rick says, alright, and hands Morales his revolver, and Shane gives him a nearly empty box of bullets. Carl and Sophia hug Eliza and Lewis, with Eliza giving Sophia her doll as Lori and Carol hug Miranda. Shane wishes them luck as they leave, and orders everyone to move out. Later, as the group is driving to the Vatos headquarters, the RV's radiator hose bursts, and Jim and Dale say they could take the one from the van Rick has been driving. As they do that, we cut to see Merle and Daryl in their pickup. Merle is starting to get tired as Daryl says to let him take the wheel. Merle agrees, and they swap seats before Merle fully passes out. After Merle passes out, Daryl checks to make sure he is fully asleep before going to speak to Shane and Rick. He tells them what is going on, and Shane is pissed that they didn't tell him sooner, saying it was stupid and that he could have gotten himself and the rest of them killed, before Daryl says that Merle wanted to try and take care of it himself. Shane says figures, which pisses off Daryl, who tries to hit Shane before Rick stops him and mentions the CDC, saying that if there's any way to save Merle, it's there. Shane says that the CDC may not even still be standing, and even if it is, it's at the core of Atlanta, even less safe than the Vatos gang hideout. Shane continues, saying that they should all get to the Vatos first, and then they can check out the CDC in the morning, if Merle lasts that long. We then skip to a scene of a disheveled-looking doctor walking through the halls of a building before he reaches a desk and starts a camera as he begins to speak, keeping this as a visual diary and record of the end. We then cut back to the group as they arrive at the Vatos base. Guillermo steps out and asks them what they are doing here, as Rick tells them that a large horde of walkers attacked them at their base. Rick then asks him if there's any way that they could live together, with Shane saying that they have several good fighters that could help defend their groups. Guillermo doesn't fully trust them all, but he does believe Rick, so he lets them all in. They all start to settle into spare rooms, with Glenn and Amy talking to Miguel as Shane goes to introduce himself to Guillermo. Shane thanks Guillermo for letting them stay there, as he explains that he was against the plan at first, saying that Atlanta is such a dangerous place, but that Rick recommended it. Guillermo said that Shane is right to view this place as dangerous. Walkers are everywhere, and they have recently been seeing more people through the city. And not weak people. Shane is worried by this, asking Guillermo if he thinks any of them would attack this place, to which Guillermo says he doesn't know. That's why he needed the guns. The scene then switches back outside, where Daryl stayed with Merle, as Merle would not leave the truck when he heard that Daryl revealed his bite. Carol steps out of the front door to bring Daryl and Merle some cookies one of the older ladies had made. Daryl thanks her for it, but Merle just tells her to piss off. Carol asks Daryl how Merle is holding up, and Daryl starts to tear up as he says that Merle isn't doing too hot, but won't talk to him. Carol hugs Daryl as she says she is sorry for him, before Ed comes out complaining that their room isn't set up yet. Carol says to give her a minute, to which Ed gets pissed and tries to hit her before Daryl pounces on him, knocking him out cold in short order as Merle cackles at Ed from inside the car. Then Shane comes out with Guillermo, Antonia, and some of Guillermo's men. Shane gets filled in on what happened as Guillermo says that the asshole attacked little Miguel too. Shane says he is tired of Ed's shit as Ed is dragged to a room and locked inside, with Rick coming over to speak to Shane and Guillermo about how he will go with Daryl to the CDC to get Merle checked out and see if there's any way to save him. Shane says that Rick's plan is stupid, but Guillermo supports it and says that while he's there he should get whatever medicine he can. Rick promises he will get meds for them when they go, and Shane recommends he takes a few people with him. The CDC will probably be dangerous after all. Rick agrees as Guillermo offers them some bigger guns to help them get the medicine. As the whole conversation happens, we get a quick wide shot where we see the groups mingling nicely before, through the window, we see several men hiding on the roof, watching over the group. The episode ends here. Hey everybody, welcome to the end of this episode. I am sorry that this one took so incredibly long to actually post. Usually these are like 2 weeks apart, and I have been trying to streamline the process to make these like once a week, but things have been difficult on that path. I promise you all, I'm not being lazy with this. I'm really not. I'm trying. I'm very much trying. Anyways, I have a few things to say here before we head off and end this episode. Firstly, I would like to say that the season finale of this season is going to be insane. As you can all probably tell with the ending of this episode mentioning armed guys watching over the group and all that stuff. Regardless, the events of the last 2 episodes in particular have a couple of things in them that will just so drastically affect the ending of this season and the start of season 2. And I would like to think that 4 of them are somewhat obvious. So I would like to see you all tell me your guesses as to what these 4 things are in the comments down below. Secondly, I just want to say thank you all so much for getting this series to the size it is. It's gotten over 1,000 views. It blows me away the sheer amount of support this series continues to get. I mean, episode 4 has reached nearly 400 views as of recording, making it one of the most viewed videos on my channel ever. I am immensely pleased and surprised that this series continues to do as well as it is doing. And I must thank you all so much for the sheer amount of support you have all been giving me. Speaking of, I should probably apologize for the bit at the beginning of the video. I made that joke over a week ago, before I noticed the sizable sub growth and gargantuan view spike. And I do not want to have to go through and edit that out and make this even later than it already is. Besides, it's a good joke, right? Anyways, now that all of that is out of the way, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye!